Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to begin preparing for tulips that are arriving next week because I've got to do a little bit of cleanup in a flower bed before those 1,000 tulips that we're going to be planting just in the backyard alone arrive next week. So you're going to come with me. We're going to spend some time in the garden. I got Furball with me here. It is a very crisp day, so in true German Shepherd style, she is quite frisky. So there's no telling what kind of antics she's going to be going on, having in the background while I am working and filming. She currently has her stick, which is a log. So there you go. But I digress. So what we're going to do is you're going to come with me. We're going to spend some time in the garden because I've got some cleanup to do. I've got perennials that need to be cut back. I've got some trimming to do. I'm going to tell you what not to touch because I don't know about you. But yes, I am incredibly blessed to live in North Carolina. We pay for it in July and August with the heat and humidity, but this is the time of year where it pays off because you'll notice I have lots of green grass. There is no snow here. It is cold. It could be cold enough to snow, but it's not. And so I am blessed that I get to garden essentially year round. And I don't know about you, but I can only spend so much time in my house. I can only vacuum so much. I can only do so much laundry. I have got to get outside and get into the fresh air, blue skies, praise the Lord, and some sunshine. And so that is what we're going to do. It is definitely a much slower season in the garden, but I always find something to do. There is always a weed to pull. There's always something to do. So that is what we're going to do today. So if you are snowed in, because I know a part of the country definitely is. We were talking to our friend up in Illinois, and he was talking about he's in the frozen tundra right now. So if you're in the frozen tundra, come live vicariously through me. Get nice and snuggled up, get your favorite hot beverage and get under a nice warm blanket, and you can watch me work here in the garden. So where we're going to be is in mainly, well, only in this backyard bed, this island bed. So let me flip the camera around and let me show you exactly what we're going to be doing today. This is one of the two island beds in the backyard, and it is filled with a ton of shrubs, trees, and perennials. I am losing my space for my annuals, but that is all right. So we do have our tulips arriving next week from our friends up at Color Blends, and we have 1,000 pink ardor tulips that are come here in the backyard. And really the only space in this flower bed that I'm going to have is from my butterfly candies all the way up through here up to some Ansonia. So in front of the buddleias, in front of my Harry Lauder walking stick, this is the area, one area that the tulips are going to be. So we need to get this area prepared. So while I'm in here, because you can obviously see that we have got some weeds. Winter weeds are, they are just a pain for me. Honestly though, they're on the bottom of my list today because if they get done, great. If they don't get done, then we'll get them when we come in here and plant the tulips. But what is on the top of my list is some pruning and some taking care of some plants. So in the back of this flower bed, I have 3 of the summerific lilac crush hibiscus. These are perennial hibiscus. They are completely herbaceous perennials. I know it looks like a shrub, but it is a perennial because all of this that you see was last year's growth. We're going to cut these straight to the ground. Now, I will say I'm going to put a little asterisk by this chore because depending on where you are, you may want to leave yours. So if you are covered up in snow or in a very cold area, I know Proven Winters, they recommend not pruning them until you come out of winter. Before I knew that here in North Carolina for like 5 years, before I ever read that little tidbit, I always cut mine down. I have never had an issue with mine coming back. So honestly, this sticks. This drives me crazy. So I'm going to cut them straight to the ground because again, none of this is going to come back. All of next year's growth will be brand new. So I've got 3 of them in here. We're going to do that. We've got some daylilies we need to go ahead and get cleaned up. I've got Monarda that I can prune back. That's what those little sticks are right here. So I've got Monarda. This is forsythia. This is show off. And y'all, when I say that this plant is, she is aggressive. So I am all of, I'm gonna stand right here beside of it. So I am all of like 5'2", right? And you can see probably how tall this is. This is such an aggressive plant. Part of me is gorgeous because growing up, we always called these yellow bells. And show off will have flowers from the tippy top down to the very bottom. So I do not want to prune this now because it has already set its flower buds for the spring of 2026. So we do not cut your forsythia right now. When it finishes blooming, then you can whack it to the ground if you want to, because it is quite a vigorous grower, shall we say. So we're going to leave that alone. Then we've got, like I said, this is the other lilac crush, and then we have got one more down here. Now, these poor little guys right here, I have got 6 of them in this area. These are my peonies, and we need to go ahead and clean them up. Your peonies are more like those summerific hibiscus. All of the growth is going to be brand new. So we're going to get rid of all of this foliage. So this is what I'm going to do is basically, let's just start there. We're going to cut back all of the summerific hibiscus, and we're going to cut back all of the peonies. Y'all, literally, I have my Thelcos, I've got my gloves, I've got my pop-up, I've got the John Deere right here. We're going to cut all of those straight to the ground. There is no, like with a hydrangea, cut above this or cut above that. No, cut it to the ground. They need to be cut back. So we are going to do that first, and then I'll meet you back here, and we can talk about some other stuff that we're going to do. All right, Miss B and I got a lot of the stuff pruned back. In fact, I think I got all of the things that I wanted to prune. I got them pruned, so the only thing that's left is to weed. And the sun is still up, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and begin weeding. But before I begin weeding, let me show you what I did. And to me, it just makes everything start to look a little bit neater and tidier. So I'm gonna show you what I did. I'm also gonna tell you what we're not going to touch, because I don't think I hit everything in that first time. So let me just show you what I did. So you can see here where that first summerific lilac crush is, nice and pruned back. Again, y'all, do not be concerned about where you cut it. You literally are just going to cut it straight to the ground, as low as you can go, and it will be just fine. With your summerifics, they tend to be the last thing that emerge from their winter dormancy, so don't give up on them. If you're not familiar with lilac crush, it is stunning. Obviously, it has these lilac flowers. They're massive. They almost will get like a blue hue to them. I adore this hibiscus. So those 3 in the back, they all got pruned back. And then I had like that little Amsonia that was right here, the Monarda that was underneath the Forsythia. Again, cut it back to the ground. Your daylilies will naturally begin to die back, and all you have to do is just run your fingers through them to get the dead foliage out. Still a little bit of green. I tell you, I think daylilies are one of those plants that you have to work really hard to kill them. And so just got them all cleaned up, You can see the hibiscus is all done. And then over here where the peonies are, I do use cages on my peonies. I ran out over here, and so these 3 really do not have a cage, but I have ordered more cages, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them up. I like to mark my peonies just so I know, you know, where they are. This spring, we had the most gorgeous peony crop we have ever had, ever. And I do not know what it was. I don't think it was specifically anything that I did, because I was talking with other gardeners, our customers who are in the region, and they too had an absolutely gorgeous peony season. So the only thing I can think of was it was the weather, right? So the climate was conducive for peonies, but it is one of those iconic, right? Massive, huge flowers with that lovely fragrance. It was a glorious peony season. So fingers crossed that we get another great peony season, but you literally are going to cut them to the ground. In the early spring, if you want to throw a little plant tone on them, it certainly helps that you can do that. But as I always preach, the more you amend your soil and you have a more fertile soil, then that's the less fertilizer you have to use, and then the plants will love it. So these peonies, I actually started from bare roots years ago, and they have come into their own, and they are gorgeous. But again, cut them to the ground, y'all. Definitely need to do that with your peonies. So what are we not going to touch? We are not going to touch our hydrangeas that bloom on old growth. Specifically thinking about your macrophyllus, your serratas, the cascading hydrangeas. This is the Let's Dance Skyview, blooms on new growth and old growth. Don't touch them. You do not want to prune them, because especially on the reblooming hydrangeas, if you prune them at any point, you're going to affect blooms. So Let's Dance Skyview, we're leaving it alone. Now your perennial grasses, if you want to prune them back, if the brown bothers you, you certainly can do it. You're going to shear them straight to the ground. I like having the interest in the garden, and so I am leaving, this is the Cheyenne Sky, so I'm leaving Cheyenne Sky. I will do this probably no later than February, and I will go ahead and prune it to the ground, because again, you're gonna have completely new growth coming from the base of the plant, and we want to get rid of the brown before that new growth emerges. Talking about the cascading hydrangeas, this is the Fairy Trail Bride, and she too had a glorious year this past year in 2025. So we're gonna again say a prayer that she has another great year this year. Don't prune it. Your fairy trails, they bloom on old growth. We want to leave them alone. And yeah, it has taken her some time to come into her own, but she finally did it. And like I said, this past year was glorious. So we're hoping that it's going to be just as good this year. And then we have some more perennial grasses behind the bench. We're going to leave those. I did have my blackberry lilies, and I went ahead and just snipped back the old foliage. You can't even tell that anything was there, so yay for that. Easy peasy. And then a little help. I need some help with some blueberries. Who knows about blueberries? When we created these beds a couple of years ago, I put blueberry bushes in this bed because I thought it'd be really fun to have, you know, like an edible landscape. Why not? You know, just let's add our fruit bushes in to the landscape. I have never pruned my blueberries because honestly, I just don't know what to do, y'all. Like, I don't know, do we prune them? We don't prune them. We prune them hard. We pruned old growth. I don't know. And I have not found a great, like, clear-cut tutorial on what I should and should not do. So if any of y'all are kind of blueberry experts and have a lot of experience with blueberries, tell me what I need to do, because again, I have not pruned them at all. They fruit really, really well, and so I get beautiful fruit off of them, but I feel like I should be pruning them or cutting them back at least at some point. So I would love to have some help if you don't mind. Iron sharpens iron, and so tell me what to do on the blueberries. Another thing that we are not going to touch is my Harry Lauder walking stick. Oh my gosh, y'all. This is like the most fun plant, and this is when it is in all of its glory. So a Harry Lauder walking stick, like I said, the wintertime is when it shines because it is a contorted shrub. Like, this is why you buy a Harry Lauder walking stick. Do you see all the gnarly twists and turns and curves? when I say I've done nothing, like I have not manipulated this plant at all. It literally does this on its own. And it is just so fun and funky, and I love it. And it is clearly very, very happy here. So we are going to leave it completely alone, not prune it, not touch it whatsoever. Roses, we will prune in anywhere from like January to February, so we'll prune those later. And then your buddleias, we prune those once you start to see new growth in the springtime. So we're coming out of winter, going into spring, you start to see new growth, then we're going to go ahead and prune it. Doesn't matter what kind of butterfly bush it is, other than the brand new mop top, which is a cascading buddleia, but all your traditional buddleias, we want to leave them alone until you start to see new growth. So we've got a pugster to the right, and then we've got the butterfly candy to the left. So we will leave those alone. So Jerry's coming out. He's over here. We're trying to see. I was going to weed. Should I weed? Okay, let's get that on camera. Let's get that expression so you can see. Okay, because you were too far away. They couldn't see you. So the only thing I have left to do in the flower bed is to weed where the tulips are going to go. Do I need to weed right now?
No.
No. Okay, so there you hear it, my friends. I do not need to weed. So I have permission from the man himself that is telling me not to weed. Is it too late for coffee?
Yes, probably so.
It's probably too late, y'all. We have an espresso machine, and so
it's too late for that.
too late for that. The other day, with coming off the Thanksgiving, you're in this weird time of the holidays, right? And so it's been cold and it's been rainy, so we've been firing up the espresso machine in the afternoon and making a latte. But if we don't have that latte before 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Dear heavens, it was the other night, and we were watching a show, and I was just like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and Jerry was like, dear heavens. So it's probably too late for that. So that means we'll just have to go on to something more fun to drink, I guess. And so we will skip the lattes today, and maybe tomorrow. All right, but y'all, hopefully this has been kind of fun. Here comes Miss B. She kind of knows when I'm starting to wrap up the videos. But if you can get out in your garden, if it's not covered in snow or ice, or if it's not pouring down rain like this later this week, the high is going to be like 39, 38, and it's going to rain the entire day. Guess who is not going to be out in her garden? That's right. So if you can get a nice, sunny day, or just any, like 5 minutes, just get out. It will make you feel better. Makes me feel better getting all this kind of cleaned up. Yes, the weeds are going to drive me crazy, but we're going to do a tulip planting party with our whole entire Creekside team. And so we get to pull weeds while we plant tulips, I guess. So, just do it all at one time. But if you have found this fun, informative, inspirational, we would love it if you would like and subscribe to Gardening with Creekside. That way you don't miss those 5 videos that we do each and every week. Y'all have a fantastic day. I'm going to go hang out with Sweet Thing. We'll see you the next time. Bye, friends.